Uh, Fast forward about 2.5 months later, I was surfing in Mexico with my friends in the Ensenada area, and I was taking my surfboard off my car, and I started wavering like this. And my friend Phil saw me. He says, "Hey Ken, what's the deal? You all right?" And I said, "I don't know. I felt kind of dizzy." He said, "Must have been something you ate this morning." I said, "Yeah, it must have been." So I paddled out into the surf down there in Mexico, and I started feeling like I was spinning, stationary, sitting on my board. So I thought, this is really weird. I've never felt like this before. And I surfed, and then we came in, and that later that evening we went to dinner in Ensenada. And after we had dinner, I saw my friends in a shop, and so I started walking toward that shop and stepped up on the curb, and that's the last thing I remember. Next thing I know, my hands were at my side. I was on my face on the pavement, and my nose was broken. I was bleeding from my nose. So I had evidently fallen flat on my face without even putting my hands out in front of me to break my fall, and I didn't even know it. And I saw feet walking around my head when I opened my eyes. I tried to get up, but I was weak. I couldn't get up. And I thought, this is surreal. I don't know what's going on here. And my friends were picking me up. They said, "Ken, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And then the police came by immediately. They grabbed me. They tried to take me away. And they said, "Borracho, borracho." The guy's drunk, you know. And so they tried to take me away. My friend said, "He doesn't drink." He said, "Oh, then drogas, drogas, drugs, drugs." They said, "He doesn't use drugs. Let him go," you know. And luckily, the security of Ensenada came by and they shooed the cops away. And they said, "We're going to take care of him." And they found me an ambulance. It took an ambulance. They got me an ambulance to take me to the clinic, which is really scary. I wouldn't recommend anybody go there. But they determined I was having some kind of a heart condition. And they tested my BP, my blood pressure. It was really, really high. And they said, "You got to get to a hospital in the United States. We can't take care of you here. There's something really wrong with you." So I was confused. My friends took me and they started heading north. I said, "You guys came down here to surf. Why don't you just surf tomorrow morning? Just hit a motel and I'll just rest it out and you guys go." And they said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." So thinking of them, we did that. But that night, my heart, I felt, was stopping and staying stopped for periods of time where I would black out over and over and over again. I didn't tell my friends. I just wanted them to go have fun. I thought it was not a big deal. And then they went surfing, but there was something definitely wrong with me, and I kept blacking out. So when they came in, I said, I think we got to get to a hospital. And they obliged. They took me straight north to Oceanside, where I was checked out at the emergency ward. And at first, they couldn't find out what was wrong with me. They said, "You seem fine to us." I said, "Yeah, but my heart keeps stopping." And they said, "Well, we put you on the EKG. Your EKG is normal, ECG, electrocardiogram." And I said, "Yeah, but it's not catching me when I'm blacking out, of course." And they said, "Well, here's a switch. You turn on the EKG or ECG when you start feeling faint or you feel like your heart's going to stop." And so I said, "Sure." And they walked out of the room, and I'm lying there by myself, and then I could feel it. You can start feeling this wave coming on. So I hit the button, and sure enough, it caught the event. And so I called them back in, and they came in, and the woman, the technician, looked at it, and she looked at it again with a kind of a frown on her face, and she said, "Wow." And I said, "What?" She says, "You're flatlining. You're just totally flatlining. There's no heartbeat at all here for a period of 12 seconds here on this one." She said, "I go, what? Yeah, there, I told you." And so she goes out of the room, and then she's talking to somebody. I can hear, and then I hear a male voice saying, "Pacemaker, pacemaker. Let's whip a pacemaker in him." And I thought, I hope that's not me. And he comes in here into the room, very, very jubilant, like he's got a patient, that he's going to throw a pacemaker. And he says, "I'm sorry, you're going to have a pacemaker ASAP." I said, "No, come on." I said, "You can control this with drugs, whatever it is, I'm sure." He says, "No, no." He says, "You're going to die, my friend. You're going to die unless we put a pacemaker in you." I go, "Come on." He says, "Sorry, that's the way it is. You want to live? You want to die? You tell me." It's very matter of fact about it. So to make a long story short, sorry for all this, but I was hooked up to a whole bunch of wires. Gosh, maybe 20 wires, electrodes, seemed that way. 20 wires on my head, my neck, my chest, everything, and hooked up to a machine with transdermal pads on them, so they wouldn't have to jolt me alive again, because that's what they were doing up to that point. Every time I black out, they have to get my heart started again with these shocker pads, you know, like you've seen on TV. So they put these permanent ones on me. And it was an automatic machine. So whenever I'd phase out, it'd shock me up. And over the course of the next 2 days, my heart stopped probably 100 to 200 times. And to be shocked by that thing, jolted for that many times, you know, it's so tiring and so exhausting that by the time they came into me and said, are you ready for a pacemaker? I said, yeah, put that thing in me, please. I can't live like this. So they warned me. They said, you could die. You could die on the table, and you could die a week from now, 2 months from now. So call your friends, call your family, and give them a goodbye. And I said, wow, is it that serious? It's dead serious. You could die, my friend. So I did that. I called my brothers, and you know, we had tears and stuff like that. And my parents are both passed away, so they're all I have. And so they said, shall we come down? I said, no. Stay home. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I mean, what can you do in any case? So they said, all right. They said, good luck. I said, yeah, no kidding. So I underwent the operation, and it was a success. And they told me still that, you know, there's no sure thing that I'm going to survive, because there's been some damage to my heart. So I said, thanks. And I was still confused. And I asked them, so how could I get this? I'm a vegetarian. I'm a lifelong vegetarian. Never smoked drugs, never done any drugs in my life. Never smoked cigarettes. I've lived my life very healthfully. How could I get this? You know, I didn't even think about the pollution at Malibu. And they said, well, it could be either one of two things. Either you're hereditarily predisposed to it. They said, check out your family tree. And they said, number two, maybe you got an infection a little while ago. And I said, I didn't get an infection a while ago. I said, wait. I got an infection probably about 2.5 months ago. And they said, well, that could be it. And I said, I was paddling around in Malibu and there's pollution in the water. I said, oh, pollution? What kind of pollution? I said, fecal pollution. They said, that could very well be it. I said, really? But that was so long ago. And they said, it doesn't matter. They said, your heart is so strong that it held strong all these months. And it got to the point where it couldn't hold out any longer, and it just catastrophically failed like it is now. And I said, really? They said, it doesn't happen on a gradual basis. It happens all or none, kind of a binary basis. That's the way these things work, they told me. So I said, oh my God, I hope that's not it. But as it turns out, that's what it was. Because my parents, my whole family has no incidents of it, and I have more evidence that this is what it is, because this pacemaker right here is no longer working. It hasn't been working for the last 7 years.